This interview explores how community leadership, public service, and civic responsibility intersect, and how candidates like Jacques Laurent aim to represent the voices of everyday residents at the Georgia State Capitol. Hello everyone and welcome to Caribbean Focus TV, where we highlight the voices, stories and leaders shaping our community. Before we begin, please remember to subscribe to our YouTube channel and follow Caribbean Focus TV on TikTok, Facebook, Instagram and X. Well, also you can visit our website at caribbeanfocus.tv for more interviews, stories and community coverage. Today we are honored to have a special guest joining us remotely. Now, I have to say today's interview might be a little confusing for some viewers because the host is Jacques and the guest is also Jacques. So if at any point you hear someone say Jacques, we might both answer. But joining us today is Jacques Laurent, candidate for Georgia State Representative for House District 97. He is a business solution provider, cloud and system architect, non-profit specialist, and community advocate. And he is now wanting to serve the people of Georgia House District 97 as state representative. Please join me in welcoming Jacques Laurent. Jacques, welcome to Caribbean Focus TV.
Well, thank you once again, Jacques. And it's always a pleasure working with you and to work with Caribbean Focus TV. So thank you for this opportunity to share and have a dialogue with the community.
Before we get into the campaign, let's help viewers understand something important. For people who may not be familiar with Georgia politics, House District 97 represents communities in Gwinnett County, including parts of Duluth, Sugar Hill, and surrounding areas. These communities are known for their diversities, growing businesses, and strong immigrant and multicultural population, including many members of the Caribbean and African diaspora. Jacques, what does it mean to represent a district like this, and why do you believe your leadership is needed now?
Well, thank you for that question, Jacques. And to be clear, District 97 covers 4 cities. It covers the city of Duluth. It covers the city of Berkeley Lake. It covers the city of Norcross. And it covers my city where I've lived for 11 years, Peachtree Corners. When you were on the money, on the spot, when you mentioned the diversity, just down the street from me, there are 2 African churches that boast about 1,000 members. And if you go further down, there's an African American church that boasts 17,000 members. When you talk about my community, we're talking about a third of it is Caucasian, third of it is African American or Black. Then the rest is the other diverse groups, Hispanic and Asian and so forth. So every day I walk out of my house. On my right is an Indian family, and my left is a Caucasian family. Across from me to the right is an African American. Directly across from me is Asian, and to my left across from me is Hispanic. So we have a very diverse community, and understanding how to make sure that each group is feeling at home and comfortable is extremely important. So when you talk about being part of District 97 and taking leadership there, this is what it means to me, that I would not only represent myself and my community being Haitian American, but others that are from diverse community. And it is something that I've been prepared for my entire life, because not only when you find in my family is very diverse, my family looks like that. But then when you look at where I've been in California, New York, New Jersey, and now Georgia, this has been the way that I've operated with a diverse group of people with different views, different ways, different cultures, and different ethnicity and so forth.
Now, let me ask a basic but important question. For viewers who may not know, what exactly does a state representative do? And why is that role important for communities like District 97? And please explain it in the simple terms, because sometimes when people hear state representative, they take it mean you represent the entire state, which will be a very big job for just one Jacques, right?
Absolutely. And that's why we would need more Jacques to work
Get me
together
in,
to make
get
that
me in.
happen. So let's get you in. So the job of a representative, plain and simple. The state representative has one absolute job, and that is to pass the budget. So it may sound like it's a small job, but when you're talking about a budget of multi-billions of dollars to ensure that all the services in the states are done and funded, it's a big job. So that's the number one job. But that means that you have to spend the time to know where the money needs to be spent. So all your tax dollars that goes to the state, what happens with that money? What programs does it fund, and so forth and so on? Where does it fund it? All of these are things that the state representatives has to put together, work with the Senate, and then bring it to a governor to sign into law so that those funding could happen for the year. Having said that, question is, am I representing one area or the entire state? The answer is yes and yes. I am representing one area. As I mentioned earlier, you have the 4 cities of Norcross, Peachtree Corners, Duluth, and Berkeley Lake. However, whatever laws that are passed, let's say I sponsor a bill, that bill would impact the entire state. Every bills that come on the table for a state representative to vote on impacts the entire state. So it is both. My primary job I'm asking to do is to represent those 4 cities and to ensure that they get their fair share of tax dollars and that their needs are being served. That would be number one. But at any time that I would operate as a state representative, it would have impact for the entire state so that the state will be well served.
Okay, Jacques, let me understand this. You come from a strong professional background as a business solutions provider, cloud and systems architect, and nonprofit specialist. That's quite a transition, going from technology systems and cloud architecture to state legislation. Although I guess in politics, you also need to fix systems, just different kind of systems, right? What inspired you to make that transition into politics service at this level? Or what moment made you say, now is the time to step forward and serve in this way?
So that's a great question. First off, I come with a heart of a servant. And that's something that was taught to me by my mom. I learned that from my mom because she spent her whole entire 84 years being a servant to others. And she was a businesswoman. She had her business in Haiti. She started her business since she was a young lady, 17, 18 years old. She started selling, gage, and then eventually grew into where she had stores. And I proudly say, through her, there's been several in the family that have become millionaires in the family through her tutoring and development. With that said, when you're talking about transitioning to governmental politics, a lot of people don't understand what politics really is, even though we see it every day, but we don't really understand it. Every bill that goes through the state legislature, you're talking about the House and you're talking about the Senate, as well as once it lands on the governor's desk, that is a business transaction. If they say that the speed limit, it can be no higher than 50 miles an hour, those are words on a piece of paper that's meaningless unless there's action behind it. So how do you make sure that people follow that rule? People can just say, okay, I'll follow that rule, but then there are those that will not follow. There's a reason that rule was set. So now you have to put signs that will cost money. That's a business transaction. You have to get someone to do a contract for that. You have to put police to enforce those rules. So in every aspect of politics, there's always an aspect of a business transaction. So as someone who has worked with Fortune 500 businesses, I understand that part of it because that's where I live. As someone who has been a software developer, who has been a systems engineer, where we're putting systems in place to work and operate, we have to thoroughly check every what ifs, if then else loop for my tech guys, who are listening to this. You have to look at every scenario. What if we do this? What if we do that? How does this work? So that things can work the way it should be. So if you're talking about the preparation, that's what I've been doing all my life in the business world, as well as in my personal life, learning through my mom and learning at big Fortune 500 companies.
Oh, Jacques, okay. You mentioned that for nearly 3 decades, Georgia has been your home and that you have served to, local organization, education programs, and community initiatives. In your view, what are some of the most important issues facing District 97 today, and how would you work to address them if elected? Well, when you elect.
Absolutely, absolutely. So, as you said, Georgia and Peach Corners is not just where I live. It is my home. And when I say that's my home, I've served in different capacities. For example, where I live, I've been there for 11 years, and in that same home. In my subdivision, for most of those 11 years, I've been on the HOA board, Homeowners Association board. I still am, and I'm past president for a couple of those years, operating there. My joy is to make sure that there's a nice pool for us to go and enjoy in the hot summer. Okay, that the landscaping looks nice when people pull in, that the front, is not looking raggedy when people are driving by. Those are things that I enjoy doing. So when you're talking about being of service to the community, everyone that I know in my subdivision, there's 258 houses. Every single one of them are looking for one thing: someplace that they could be comfortable and enjoy their lives. They want to be able to afford it. They want to be able to go to the store and not have to pay an arm and a leg for a dozen eggs. They want to be able to close their doors and not be worried somebody's going to knock it down, or their cars are being broken into and so forth. So it's about being in a place where they're safe, it's affordable, and their kids are comfortable to go out in the street and play. And those are some of the things that I enjoy in my district, and those are the things that I would espouse to ensure that it stays that way. Right now, the affordability piece is very difficult. The prices are skyrocketing all over the place. We're talking about health insurance. If anybody has looked at the health insurance bill this year, I don't know about you, mine has gone up by about 60% from last year. Okay, that's a huge increase. The state can do something about that. We're sitting on $16 billion of unallocated surplus money. About $6 billion of it is required reserve, but Georgia has the maximum on the required reserve, which is about 12%. The other $10 billion really goes toward health insurance affordability. We're talking about auto and home insurance. Right now, the insurance companies are looking at it from the standpoint that because of many disasters that have occurred, their cost has risen and they're looking for a better model. The state and the insurance companies are playing chicken with each other rather than solve the problems of the people. So I could go on, but the affordability piece is a big one. Again, another piece that I espouse strongly is democracy. I was born in Haiti under a dictatorship. I know what it looks like when you have a dictator. I know when someone comes to you as a child, 11 years old, and you're looking at something, you said, this is wrong, and you're told to shush. Shh. Your whole family could disappear for saying things like this. That's what happens when you don't have the democracy. This country was built on democracy. That's why my family brought me and my siblings here to grow under a place where we can thrive and grow. And I'm watching that taken away from us every single day. That is not something that gets me excited to see that our democracy is being taken away. Diversity. Certain groups are being targeted. Blacks, immigrants. Why? It does not make any sense. But it does to me and to those that are doing it. It is because it's about shifting the economy towards one group versus another. It's really not about the immigrants. It's really more about money. At the end of the day, when you understand what's really going on, one group trying to game the system for themselves over others, what I bring to the table is how can we all have a strong community and everyone is striving without one or two groups or certain groups feeling that they're left out, they're left behind. For many people, they don't feel like the government is working for them. This is what I want to see, is that people feel and understand that the government is working for them. That's what I'm running for.
There was a powerful message posted by one of your supporters, Dr. Darlene Wilkinson, who is a senior plant and general accountant and leadership professional. And I like to read a part of it. She wrote, open quote, "Our community doesn't need another politician. We need a proven servant, and that is exactly what Jacques Laurent is." That is a strong statement. When you hear someone describe you that way, what does that mean to you personally?
That's very touching. If you know me, I'm the kind of person that I tend to like to operate, behind the scenes. I tend to like to operate at a place where I can make an impact, rather than to showcase myself. So when somebody of that caliber, and Darlene is someone that I've known for a long time. Our children grew up together. She and my wife and another person, Naika, they all had a group together where they sang together. And it comes from someone that I know is very accomplished in her field, in her line of work. So hearing somebody reflect on me like that, that means they were paying attention to what I was doing, and that means that they understand the work I was doing, and that touches me very dearly. Because I don't do it for a show. I don't go out and participate in different groups and different organizations or different initiatives so that people can see Jacques, but I do it because I see a need. 90% of the time, it is because there's a need, and not because I'm looking to put things on my resume. When I went to become when I was asked to become the treasurer for my son's band booster club in high school, I saw a need. When I was in high school in Los Angeles, we were fortunate. I was able to be in the band because someone became wealthy and left an endowment to Los Angeles High School. And through that endowment, I was able to travel throughout the state and perform, with the band and participate in things that we otherwise would not. So as the treasurer for the band booster, our job is to raise money for the Duluth band. And it was a proud moment for me to be there for my son and all the other 150 kids that participate in the band. So that's where I came from. It wasn't to say, oh yeah, I was the treasurer. No, I came to see that they had the money they needed so they could have the activities that they wanted to do, and so that they could have the same things that I had, growing up, because they didn't have that endowment that my school had. So I wanted to see that they had those things. So with that said, those are the reasons that I work in the different space that I work, whether it's on the HOA and the Band Booster, on the Georgia Haitian American Chamber of Commerce, or the NAACP, United Ebony Society, all these groups at church. If you know me, I'm very big on working with the youth and in music. And so I do these things because I see there's a need. And whenever I'm able to serve, I make myself available to serve.
For everyone who are interested in learning more or getting involved, how can people support your campaign?
Absolutely. So that's a great question. And that's an important part of my running and my campaign. So yes, my number one job for the campaign is to represent my district. And we've talked about that already. However, it's a little bigger than that for me. My decision to run wasn't just to represent my district, but it is also to represent my community, the Haitian American community. For many years, I've had people not just in the Haitian community, but beyond, the African American community, white community, different people have approached me about running for office, and I've typically said no. But the reason that I said yes this time is I've already mentioned that democracy, there's a time you wake up, you said, you know what, it's time to stop asking somebody else to do the job. It's time for you to step up to do the job. But once I made that decision, there are very strict rules in how you run a campaign, particularly when it comes to the finance. So you can't just come and say, okay, I'm gonna run the finances. Every money that goes towards the campaign, has to be very well managed. All these reports become public report. Every dollar that's spent becomes public report. And so as such, you have to raise the money a certain way. You have limits. The spending has to be a certain way. So the way that we need support for the campaign right now, and I say all these things too so people understand that this is not money that's going to my pocketbook. I cannot spend the money for myself. I have to spend it for the campaign. And right now, for the campaign, one of the things is I have an opponent. And the opponent was, in politics. Basically, I could say he's a career politician because he's been in politics for quite a few years, especially at a young age. And so I have a disadvantage in that aspect because he already had money ready and waiting for him to run. I did not. So one of the ways that I could be helped is through donations. And I could receive donation from anyone throughout the country if you're a U.S. citizen or if you are legally living in this country. So with that said, there's other ways that you can support. We need people to canvass because the biggest thing that is making my campaign strong is going to people's door and knocking on doors. We go and knock on doors just about 3 or 4 days a week. And you could see the difference in people's reaction to say, oh, the candidate is here, let me speak to him. Matter of fact, one of those people was so happy they have decided to have a meet and greet. So they have invited about 100 people in their circle to come and meet with me and talk about exactly what we're doing in this interview. So with that, there's the other ways are to phone banking. You could phone bank from anywhere in the country. You could text bank from anywhere in the country. You just, we give you access to the system and you're texting to people or you're phone banking. So there's many ways. And I wanted to be detailed about these things is because particularly in the Caribbean and Haitian community, and if you're familiar with Caribbean Georgia Votes, we do a lot of that. And it is so that the Caribbean community can be more engaged and more involved. I've heard a saying from one of the politicians that I've known for a while, someone who has a heart of servant, like I subscribe to have. And he said, if you are not at the table, you're on the menu. And for many, many years, the Caribbean community has been on the menu. And part of my campaign is to run and ensure that we are not in the menu, but we are at the table. Currently, there's about 3 or 4 Caribbean Americans that are in office in the state of Georgia. Upon winning my election, I would be the first Haitian American to have served at the state level. So the whole process is to encourage people to participate in politics. Don't get caught up in the noise. Know what your needs are. Share it with the people in leadership, whether it's at city, county, or state level. Let's support each other. Let's make sure that our community, our state that's very diverse, is well served. And I'm asking for your support. If you're in my district, please vote for me starting next Monday. And if you're not in my district, please donate, please volunteer, canvas, phone bank, text bank, set up a meet and greet. And we have about a month left for this, so reach out and let us know. Thank you.
Is there anything else you would like to say to the viewers?
Yes, what I would share in closing is that I've been watching Caribbean Focus TV in action for a few years now, and I do appreciate what Jacques, the other Jacques, does extremely because he's been not just, although he's Haitian, but he's not just with the Haitian community, but he's with all the Caribbean community and beyond. And I want to congratulate him on his efforts and for continuing the work that he does. And I want to congratulate the viewers for supporting him. And I want to see that this viewership grows and that we continue to have a more connected and more organic community working together. So thank you everyone listening, and thank you Jacques for making this interview happen. And I look forward to the next time we get together.
Jacques Laurent, thank you for joining us today and sharing your story, your vision, and your commitment to serving the people of District 97. And I must say, it's been a pleasure hosting another Jacques on Caribbean Focus TV. I think this may be the second time we have had an interview, right, where the host and guest share the same name. So we may have to call this the Jacques to Jacques conversation. We wish you the best as your campaign continues, okay? And to our viewers, thank you for watching Caribbean Focus TV. Don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel. Follow us on TikTok, Facebook, Instagram, and X. And visit CaribbeanFocus.tv for more interviews and community stories. Until next time, stay informed, stay engaged, and as we always say, stay focused.
Caribbean Focus TV.